It does not matter how many deals you do that determines your financial freedom. It's what you do with your money. And that's where we try to help with the profit first system. And that's where I really believe that if people have a system in place for their cash, that's what really builds the bridge from that rat race wheel over to financial freedom.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, returning guest, David Richter, is an investor with over a decade of experience and over 850 closings on record. He has experience with multiple exit strategies ranging from wholesale to BRRRR to owner finance to lease options and more. And today he helps companies turn around and build cash reserves using the profit first cash flow system. He's been featured on Bigger Pockets, our show, and many other podcasts and shows. He's also the author of Profit First for Real Estate Investing, and you can find him on simplecfo.com. David, thanks for taking the time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dylan. Great to be here.
I'd like to dive in and ask you about folks who are building a real estate business, and they may be in their first, let's say, 3 years as real estate investors or budding or aspiring real estate investors, and focus on, how can they avoid the bad deals, but also have more cash flow opportunities.
Just right out of the gate. So, how can they get better deals and have more cash? Well, first is having a real plan. A lot of business owners build their business on the hope and pray plan. Man, I hope that this marketing goes out the door and this money that we actually get deals in the door. And then at the end of the day, hopefully we'll have some money. And that's how most investors approach the business because number one, they have never been taught business. A lot of people jump into business, but they come from the W-2 world, or they didn't have, they didn't go to Harvard, or they didn't go to a business college, or even if they did, they might not have gotten the actual real world business experience. So when they jump into a real estate company, they're like, okay, I just need to do deals. I'm good at closing sales. I like real estate. I can do wholesale. I can do whatever. And so they're good at getting the deals, but they haven't learned what the business is really about. And this is where my experience comes into play. I was part of a company in my early 20s where we were doing about 25 deals a month between wholesales, fix and flips, turnkeys, all of that. But we were spending 26 worth of deals out the door. So it's like you make $1 million, but you spend 1.1 to get there. And that sucks. So it's like, that's where we were falling into the same trap that most entrepreneurs do when you ask that question. It's like, we know how to get the deal and we're good at getting the deals. And we can get them in the door, but are we really good at what we're really supposed to be good at as an entrepreneur? And that's not real estate. It's money, because it's like the game of money is what we're really playing. Real estate is just our widget. So you have to know, is the money going to be good at the end of this deal? That's why so many people have formulas to find the deal and are they going to have profit or not, which is a great first step. You have to have a formula in place to make sure, are you building profitability into this deal? But then a lot of entrepreneurs, And a lot of real estate investors forget to do that for their business. Like, how do you analyze the business to make sure that I have profit not on each deal, but just as the business overall? Just because you have profitable deals does not mean you have a profitable business, which really trips up a lot of real estate investors because they're like, well, I made 40,000 on the last couple deals and like, where's all the money? And that's where I hear a lot of that. That's why, Dylan, as well. I also think, because the second part of your question was, how do they build the cash reserves?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
They need a system for that cash. Once they understand that the real game they're playing is the game of money, they need a system to be able to play that money game to win. And a lot of people don't have a system. That's why I went down the profit first road, because even though I look like an accountant, that was not my background. It was real estate investing. It was that real estate world. And Profit First really helped me understand that the first steps is I need a system to make sure I have cash, that I'm keeping more of it, and that if those deals are profitable and I have a system for the cash for the business, not only will I'll have both ends of that stick. Then, Dylan, what you just asked, how do I make sure a deal is profitable and how do I make sure the business, I'm keeping more of it? That's the two things. I think number one, you need to make sure you have the right mindset of like, we're actually playing the money game. So it doesn't just end with the deal. It ends with okay, do I have a system to keep more cash? So I know that was a long-winded answer, but that was my best way to try and answer that question in the most direct manner.
When we talk specifically about the avatar of who is a real estate investor,
Yeah.
I can speak personally to this, that a lot of times the person who's going to be someone who takes a lot of action and starts a business and is
Yes.
willing to do the bootstrapping necessary, and this
Yep.
isn't true 100% of the time. So I hope I don't step on. I hope I don't say the wrong thing to offend anybody, but you deal with a lot, or you see a lot of people who are very much action takers, but they're almost
Yeah.
cowboys in a sense. Like, hey,
Yeah.
shoot first, ask questions later, right? Well, what ends up happening in so many cases is, sure, you could be fortunate enough to have invested at a time where your strategy works, but what happens when the market shifts and your strategy is no longer working,
Right.
as has happened over the last several years, right? And that's really the hallmark for me, having spoken with so many investors, of a successful real estate operator, is you've got to be able to say, hey, this isn't working, or this has stopped working, and what do I do, right? What do I do now? When we talk specifically about like transactional real estate, whether that is being an investor and doing flips, or whether that's being an agent, right? I'm a Texas licensed agent. I think a lot of people get focused on like moving the piece around the Monopoly board without realizing that they're even playing Monopoly. Like, hey,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
you're in the game right now. Let's
Exactly.
take a step back over here and analyze the full board, rather than just say, hey, I got to get to Park Place.
Exactly. And that I use a lot of the example of the Rich Dad Poor Dad game of Cash Flow 101, where Robert Kiyosaki made that game. And literally in the middle of the wheel, you're trying to land on these little green spaces that say big or small deal. It's like the typical real estate investor, like going around in this rat race, just literally trying to land on the big and small deal over and over and over again. And we think that the number of deals will eventually get us. His game has a second part to it it's not the rat race anymore. Once you hit your passive income goal, then you get to the fun track or financial freedom. And so many investors are not playing the real game, the money game. They're playing just the deal game. I just have to land on these big, the big or small, the green spaces here. And if I get enough deals, then eventually I'll get to financial freedom. And I can tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, it does not matter how many deals you do that determines your financial freedom. It's what you do with your money. And that's where we try to help with the profit first system. And that's where I really believe that if people have a system in place for their cash, that's what really builds the bridge from that rat race wheel over to financial freedom. And that's what we're trying to help people with, because honestly, Dylan, there's no recession proof businesses out there. Like
Yep.
there's ones that have gone up and down, sideways, like there's insurance companies that have been around for, 100+ years. But you know what is really recession proof? People. Like, can they understand the systems? A lot of those ones that have been over 100 years, you know why? Because they have a ton of cash in place. And like, it doesn't matter if the market crashes or if the market is like blessing everyone out there. It's like, this is where they are very conservative with, okay, I need the cash. I will still invest and reinvest in the business, but not at the sake of, even if the worst market were to happen, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? So that's where we're trying to get people off that rat race and to that financial freedom fun track over here, and going on that board. And a lot of people just never build that bridge with a good system for their money.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, I'm going through. You're speaking to someone who's going through this right now. This is
Yeah.
my first full year in, I believe, and maybe a little bit over that. My full year in business for myself, and
Awesome.
coming from the W-2 world, I worked so many different jobs, but a lot of my time was spent working in the automotive space before I got into wholesale, and then
Yeah.
being a realtor. I'm realizing the way that I approached money was on like a biweekly or monthly basis. And that I didn't even realize this until very recently, talking with a enrolled agent and a tax strategist that I have. And that's a limiting factor, because if I'm only looking at, hey, every 2 weeks or every month, then I can't think about, hey, what's this quarter going to look like? Or I start to feel pressure from that. Where
Hmm.
if I'm looking at a multifamily real estate deal and I'm trying to acquire things through seller financing, this isn't going to happen on a 2 week or 1 month timeline. So I've got to think
Right.
longer term.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. And especially if you're living through it right now, this is where it's like, I would rather you take some time and do a little less deals while you're getting into it to be able to build a better foundation now, because the habits you have now, unless they change through systems and books and things like that, you'll have the same habits with money now in your first year as in your 10th year. Like, it doesn't get better. Like when I first started working with that company that we eventually did 25 deals a month, we started at 5 deals a month, and we had not great habits with money at 5 deals a month. And then we grew to 25 deals a month, and we had 25 deal a month problems. Like, the problems ballooned that big. So yes, my admonition to you, Dylan, specifically, or anyone listening, would be the sooner the better. Even, okay, I talk with a lot of investors too, Dylan, that are 10 years down the road, where they're like, oh my gosh, like I'm already 10 years into it. I've made 1 million, but where's all the money going? And so we have to start with, okay, we have to start with the basics right now. So that way we might have to unlearn some things that they've learned with money and then build better habits. But Dylan, honestly, you're in like the best time to be able to start something like this, because it's like the sooner you can get it, and the sooner that you understand, and the sooner you have the systems in place, then you can build a foundation where it doesn't matter what deal type you do, you know how to keep more money from that deal type, and you'll be more confident as a business owner. So I tell people, like, I love it because people ask me all the time, they're like, when should I start profit first? When should I implement this? Like, should I do it down the road? Should I do it right away? And I tell people, like, yesterday, like, get it in place as soon as possible. I even speak to some groups where they are just getting in and they haven't done a deal. And I tell them, when you set up your LLC, like, set up 5 bank accounts, like set up the first steps of profit first. So that way, when you do a deal, you'll know that, okay, we've got the system in place and we can make sure we can tell our money where to go. So I just tell people all the time, wherever you are, if you want more profit and you want to keep more cash, start this system now, because then your next deals, you'll start to build better habits. Then 10 years, you wake up and you don't say, where's all the money? You say, what do I want to do today because I've reached financial freedom?
One of the things that I think is working against folks
Yeah.
is so few people, even I would say some people with money,
Yeah.
are themselves aware of what's happening with their money. A lot of
Yeah.
people will blindly entrust like a financial advisor, and that's great.
True.
That can work for folks, right? But someone else is managing your money, and you may have some say in that, but
Yeah.
really you're not taking much of an active role. You're basically saying, "Hey, I trust you with this process." When folks are looking for, hey, positive role models and people who they can mirror, there's not a ton of positive influences out there for
That's
money
true.
habits and money management.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, that is true. That's why I believe that there are some good ones out there, like Mike McAllowitz, who wrote Profit First, the original book. Like, that's where this whole movement came from. I also think there's other ones and other role models out there, but they're through story or through book telling as well too, like The Richest Man in Babylon, or like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. All those say the same course concepts as Profit First, like put first things first is one of the habits of highly effective people, or in The Richest Man in Babylon, a portion of all you have is yours to keep. I would also say, because, okay, I'm going to throw this name out there, but investors usually don't like this person a whole lot. But like someone like Dave Ramsey, who's like very anti debt, and I get it. You're in real estate. There is good debt. Like, you can leverage. You can also over leverage, which we don't want to do. We don't want to go down that road, though. But as far as that goes, like, Dave Ramsey's done something right. He's worth tens of millions of dollars, if not $100 million, and it's all debt free. So it's like there's something going on right over there, but you don't have to achieve it the same way he did. It's just there's role models out there if you're looking for it. There's Ramit Sethi. There's several people out there that I highly recommend and respect. And it's almost like I want you to model not just what they're saying, but like what are the principles of money that have stood the test of time? And is there anyone out there that you can model after? And I would look at Mike McAllowitz, and I would, consume his content. Or, I mean, if you're in real estate, I love for you to consume our content, like what you're doing right now. Like, you're listening to this, so it's like I want to be able to be a help in that arena as well, because I would second you very hard there, Dylan. Like, yes, I agree. There's not enough good role models out there, but because of this system, they're becoming more common. Honestly, a lot of people just aren't in front of people like you and I are too, Dylan. Like, a lot of people that have Profit First are out there, they're doing deals, they're keeping more money, but they're not getting on a podcast, like every week or every month and like
Yeah.
talking about it. So it's like, I also want to give a shout out to them too, because they're like the unsung heroes of the actual business world. That's why there's several groups I'm a part of, and one group I'm a part of gives a Freedom Award, which is really cool, because the Freedom Award, you don't reach it unless you tell the moderator, here's what freedom means to me, and here's how I achieved it. Whether that's taking time off, like a month, or whether that's having a certain dollar amount in the bank, or whether that's like being able to go on a big trip, whatever it might be. It's like, what does financial freedom mean to you? And here, tell me how you did it and give some proof, whether it's like the pictures from the vacation, or like, the time off on the calendar that you did, or whatever. And I'm like, that is so cool. That is so much better than who did the most deals, who went out there and did the most volume, whatever it is. It's like, who out there is doing the financial freedom? Those are the unsung heroes and the people you don't hear about as much, but they're starting to become more regular because there's systems like this being put in place.
I want to pivot a bit here. This isn't
Yeah.
really a question out of left field, but there's a lot of folks, and I would say definitely younger people, who are looking at home ownership in various
Yeah.
areas of the country. And I can say where I grew up in northern New Jersey, and I've said this many times in the podcast before, I don't know who owns those homes, but I doubt it's a lot of the people that I grew up around, because you had,
Mm,
eight, 900 million dollar homes. These are middle
yeah,
class homes, by the way,
yeah,
middle class. But it's just now the urban sprawl from New York City has spread beyond the Hudson River into, parts of northern New Jersey. So where in my mind, who's owning those homes? It's people who have substantial income, because even with a large down payment, you've got to be able to qualify for a
right,
six,
yep.
700, $800,000 mortgage, right? And then they're commuting into to the city. So these could be medical professionals, these could be executives, people in finance. Where's the piece of the pie for everyone else? I'm being long winded here, but what I'm seeing a lot of people do is realize, okay, if I want to save more of my money, I may have to be willing to uh, kind of like geographically arbitrage. Like, hey, I may have to potentially leave this sect that I call home and move to somewhere else that may be more cost effective. Whether that could be, some other state, some area of the state, or, I'm currently living and splitting my time between Dallas and Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, where I'm talking to you right now. So I can see this firsthand. Do you think that there is a time and a place for folks to say, hey, look, this, where I'm living right now is just the math isn't mathing. The numbers aren't feasible. I may have to be willing to relocate, either for a job or for housing or for a combination of the two.
Yeah, I mean, yes, of course, because if it depends what they want out of life too. Like, what do you want out of life? Do you want to be debt free and do you want to have less stress from when it comes to money, or are you staying in an area because there's family or there's relatives or there's things that money can't buy? I think that's the real question. Like, are you just pursuing the dollar and like you're just going after that, or are you in an area where you have things that money can't buy? And that's a really personal question to each human being, because it's like I don't look at everything from just a money perspective. Now, I have to make sure it makes sense financially. I can't be like just bleeding out and eventually I'm on the street, or I have to live with one of those relatives because I can't support the housing or whatever it might be. But it's like that's how I take the decisions now, that I've learned that like true success is really not just doing what you want, where you want, when you want, with who you want. It's really the okay, when I wake up, do I get to be around the people that I like? Or like, am I just doing this because I have more money in the bank? But I would tell people, yes, if you're not able to live there, then you can look at other places. This is probably one of the most transient times of life that we've lived in, Dylan, right? Where you are literally splitting your time between two places, and you're probably in your 20s, I'm guessing, like, and you're getting out there and you're doing, it's like, this is where there's a lot more options to be able to do that now, and where these people and where these, places, I should say, are becoming a little bit more not cost effective, and they might get a starter home and it's like, wait a second, the starter home's like 500K. Like, what are we doing? So that's where you might have to choose something else if you aren't able to do it. Or it's like, okay, what are we shifting here? What are we willing to trade off? And that's where, honestly, if you're a business owner, the best thing you could do is train your brain to think and to become a better question asker. And that was a great question, Dylan, because it's more of like, what are the questions I really need to ask myself to be able to move or to be able to go out there? Or like, why would I move versus why I wouldn't move? Or like, I like this one. Keith Cunningham says this in his books. It's like, okay, what's the best case scenario, worst case scenario? And that's what most people stop at. But then there's a third magic question. It's the, am I willing to live with the worst case scenario too? So it's like, are you able to do that? And just take those into consideration when you're thinking about moving, and but depending if it's on cost or family or whatever it might be.
I think the moving example is probably the most extreme. Now I'm doing it, so I can, speak
Oh,
from this, but
sure.
it's not going to be for everybody. But there's other examples of this
Yeah.
within, a business and within a budget, where you can say, hey, like, this is costing you either a lot of time or a lot of money. And, you know part of this is you have to have the willingness to maybe take some drastic measures. And, for folks like myself, it may be, hey, I'm going to stretch the dollar by living in areas where it's more cost effective. But for other folks, it could be, something like a budget item, or something like, hey, here's where your office is, or something like, hey, yeah, I know you don't want to necessarily spend money on an accountant, on a tax strategist, but you're going to have this bill at the end of the year. So do you want to do it up front, or do you want to do it at the end of the year? And I think you can almost feel too, that folks may have some pushback there because they're like, oh, whoa, I didn't really want to have to make this decision right now.
Right. Yeah, I 100% agree. A lot of us put off the things until it becomes a real pain in our life. And so then we have to take action. Usually people are waiting to the end of the year, they get that tax bill. Literally had a call like this yesterday where the guy was like, I have this tax bill and I really need the help. And honestly, I don't know where all my money's going. Like a typical thing that I would have a conversation with a real estate investor. Then at the end, I'm like, okay, we can solve these problems and all this. And then he was like, I think I want to wait a month to do. I'm like, okay, you just told me all these things. It's obviously not painful enough to move forward at this point. So I get that. The pain of moving forward now is more painful than obviously you having a big tax bill or you not knowing where your money's going. And it's like that's a decision he has to make in order to move forward, to that. So I get that. I totally get where you're coming from, Dylan, because it's more about, okay, what's more painful, like not knowing where my money's going, not having good cash flow, not keeping the dollars, like not being on true financial freedom, or like biting the bullet and paying where it's like, okay, this isn't marketing, this isn't sales, but this should be your defense, the defense of the castle, making sure that you are keeping the money, making sure you know where every dollar's going, making sure you're in control of the business. And that's at the end of the day what people really have to decide. What's more painful to them? Is it more painful the not knowing or knowing and making sure that you have the right people in place?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but now that I'm experiencing this myself and growing in my business, and I've seen all sides of it. I've seen the people
Yeah,
who manage it themselves, and like you said, they could be 5, even 10 years into the game, and they may be asking some of these questions. And then I've seen folks who are super systematized with everything, and that can seem extreme, right? But that you do have to decide, like, hey, is this, am I close enough to the fire now where this is, I'm going to get burnt, or can I
right.
continue doing this? We are
Exactly.
we are coming up on time here though, Dave.
Sure.
Any new projects that you're working on, and also where can our audience go to reach out to you or your team?
Yeah, so we're actually rolling out some new episodes of our podcast over the next month. We have a podcast as well around Profit First. So the Profit First REI podcast. And we're doing some where we're interviewing our clients and the CFOs on the team because a lot of people want to hear behind the scenes, not just a talking head like me, or I do a lot of interviews as well. So we're actually rolling that out so people can be like, here's some of the details. How do they keep more of the money that they're making? How does it feel to take to keep more of the money versus like just going around to the rat race. So I'm really excited about that project because then other people get showcased inside the business. But if you want to reach out to us because you're feeling like, oh my gosh, you described me to a T, I'm making money, I don't know where it's going, I need the help, you can reach out to us at simplecfo.com. If you go there you could book a call right there with us. You'll be talking to one of our team members or to me because I take some of those calls as well. And I'd love to just see, where are you now in this journey? What do you need? Because we do different things. We do the bookkeeping, we do the tax side, but then my favorite thing we do is the profit first and like the more financial help in the financial management and more like a financial coach. And that's what we're doing and helping you make sure you keep more. So if you go to simplecfo.com, that's where you can get all the info.
Dave, thanks for taking the time today. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Dylan.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.